Vine was half laying on the couch in her boyfriend's room. The walls were red, reflecting the shade of blood and lust. She stared at Jungkook, who was dressing himself up after a heated session both of them had. When he turned towards her, just seeing her in that position, he wanted to start all over again. Vine, before you say a word, I'm getting late for my college. Geez, this is too early in the morning. Vine, you didn't even let me sleep whole night. Jungkook shrugged. Was he regretting? Nope. He walked over to her, buttoning his shirt, and kissed her once. Jungkook, some days I want to lock you up, so no one except me can look at this beauty. She trailed her nail against his jaw and sat up. Jungkook's eyes shifted from her bare legs to her face, and he held her neck in a chokehold. With slight force, he made her stand up and kissed her again. Jungkook, go to college before I change my mind. Vine, says the one who has to handle kingdom matters today. She teased, and Jungkook squeezed her waist. Jungkook, I can always cancel those, doll. Don't try to trust me. Vian chuckled and stepped back, throwing her hands in air as a surrendering gesture. Vian, kidding, Your Highness. Send me back to my word then. Vian was a human, whereas Jungkook was the devil. He belonged to another world, a world he owned. He was the king, and his kingdom held no limits. Jungkook twisted his fingers, and Vine got teleported back to her world. She appeared in the car and spotted her college building right in front of her. Right, he wouldn't even let her do the work of traveling to her college from her home. She really loved getting spoiled by him. Every moment, every second of her life was spent getting showered by his love and affection. She got down the car and went inside the college. She wondered what kind of great deed she did in her last life to have him. Jungkook was the first one to fall for her. His obsession and possessiveness scared her. She feared him, despised him, pushed him away every time he came towards her. He was the devil after all. No matter how handsome and charming he was, there was no way she could accept him. Jungkook had low anger tolerance. He isn't patient at all. But in her case, he showed the utmost patience and understanding. She wondered if even a human could do that. He never forced her or shouted at her. He made her fall for her in his way. By showing him his every flaw and letting her accept him anyways. Vine went towards the washroom straight to look at herself once in the mirror. She needed to make sure no hickeys were visible through her dress. She bit her lips when she found her neck filled in them. She couldn't even ask him to hide those. He loved them on her. He wasn't ready to understand the college required her to hide them. Shaking her head, she buttoned up her shirt till the top and fixed her hair before walking towards the door. As she opened the door, the person behind the door who was about to enter lost her balance and went toppling forwards. The girl fell, and there was water on the floor. Her face twisted in disgust as she stood up, checking her clothes. The sleeves and trousers were wet at that point. Wine, I'm sorry. Are you okay? One of the girl's friends pushed Wine away and closed the door behind them. Minna, how dare you? She screamed as she stood off the ground and started to look at her dirty clothes. They were not dirty, just wet. It was not even Wine's fault. Wine, excuse me? Minna, don't you have eyes to use? Donate them. Will be of good use. Wine, first of all, it's common sense to open the door, not push it. Second of all, I wasn't supposed to see you through a closed door. Third of all, you need to apologize. Minna, apologize? She scoffed and pushed Wine with her hand on her shoulder. Minna, apologize, huh? How about you do that? The three girls started to step near Wine, looking as intimidating as ever. One of them grabbed the viper as if it was supposed to scare her. If only it made her want to laugh, but she was trying to hold on to the last bit of manners left within her. Why would she drop herself on their so called level? Wine, leave my way. I won't repeat again. The other laughed and swung the viper in attempt to hit her, but it stopped mid-air. All of them looked at the girl as she kept trying to move the rod, which was stuck mid-air, and slowly they all started to panic. The rod started to move on its own, getting out of the girl's hand and ending up in Wine. Vine laughed and rolled it around her fingers. The process made the water drops splash on the girls, dirtying them even more. She threw the viper away and winked at them. Vine, come on, let's play a little. Minna cursed, showing Vine a middle finger before leaving the washroom with her girls. Vine chuckled and went out to take her class as well. She loved how Jungkook would let her play sometimes using his powers, because she knew it well. If he did it himself, he would directly murder those poor girls. Vine took the classes and was done near the noon. She decided to return home to freshen up. Jungkook was busy today with his kingdom matters anyway. She drove back home, but on her way she realized the brakes of the car had failed. She panicked a little, trying to somehow bring the car to a stop. The gears had stopped working, and she couldn't even reduce the speed of the car. She cursed and looked ahead. At a distance, she found traffic and signals. She tried her best to keep the car in control, but there was no way to do it at such a busy road. Wine. Jungkook, Jungkook, please, oh God, can you hear me? He usually closed the vision through which he could see or hear her during his working hours. Since he would be so distracted by her presence, it would be hard for him to focus on work. As she neared the traffic, it made her panic more. A scream left past her lips when she turned her car and it rolled over 4 times before bumping into the wall. She had her eyes shut, and when she opened them, she was in Jungkook's room. He teleported her before the first turn of the car. She didn't realize she had her breath stuck in her throat, so when her legs wobbled and she fell down on the bed, she tried to calm herself. Jungkook appeared before her after 3 minutes and took her in his embrace. She was still pretty shaken up, but she instantly melted in his protective arms. There was something about them which always provided her with peace and protection. Jungkook, it's okay. I've got you. He brushed his fingers through her hair and watched her body slowly calming down under his heat. Vine, where were you? He shifted her in his lap and held her close. Jungkook probably told her he kept her vision closed for her during his working hours, but he was never stupid to shut it down completely. He vowed to protect her, and this is what he did definitely. After he teleported her here, he found the fault in the car was due to those girls one met in the washroom today. It boiled his anger. They almost killed her, and he made sure that nothing remained of those three people. He wished he could take his time and torture them, but he needed to comfort Wyan, who was pretty shaken up. Jungkook, I'm here, right here in front of you. She stared at him, and her fingers traced circles on the back of his neck. It was as if she needed a confirmation that he was not going to disappear. Wyan, you're completely different when you're soft and worried, and it's unjust that you still look absolutely devastating. He kissed her once before tugging on her lower lip. Jungkook, I'm all yours. She sighed in content and hugged him, which he returned, and Jungkook stayed whole day with her, cancelling all of his kingdom's work.